Well, good evening and welcome back to Allergic to Stupidity. It is March the 23rd. It's a Sunday. So, first of all, first thing right out of the gates, the Canadian women won gold at the World Curling. So, congratulations, ladies. That's fantastic. I also know our men's sailing looks like a catamaran. I don't know my boats that well, but they're doing really well and they just beat France. And I don't think that was in a final, but they're doing really well. So, good news and good news on the sporting realm for Canada. And I know the guy for the skipper for the sailing was using that meme that's been going around the country about elbows up, we're ready to fight, which is actually from Gordie Howe, who everybody used to say he was Mr. Elbows because he would check the other hockey players with his elbows. So that's a thumbs up. So keep going, guys. Take a deep breath. We're going to survive. We're going to be fine. So we has now officially been announced. We have a federal election coming up on April the 28th. My first comment is going to be, get out and vote. I don't care how you vote. I know there's people that will say, no, you have to vote this way. No, just get out and vote. Okay? That's just the black. If you are legally allowed to vote, go and vote. Don't care how you vote. Just get out and vote. Let's bring our numbers up from last time. Because last time it wasn't that great. And I will give you a little story on that. I was working at the federal election in 2015. Last time I'd been able to work a federal election. And this husband and wife came in very proudly carrying their passports. They were so excited because they got to vote. And this was their new country. And they were very proudly Canadians. Like this was, both of them just smiles ear to ear. They were so excited. Their first vote. First election that they could vote, and their English was really, really good too. But that's from a teacher who teaches English as a second language here. And as she was about to go vote, he says, now you remember you need to vote. And I went, no, sir. This is Canada. You cannot tell your wife how to vote. She votes whichever way she wants to. You can't tell her. Right. Okay. It was like, I was very polite about it, but it was like, yep, okay, this is Canada. It was like little people getting to school for the first time. They were so excited. It just one of those, it's not the guy that's been doing this for 70 years doing it again, right? Like this was just, they were so excited. And I remember taking my dad in one of his last times he could vote before he died. And the election was coming up. He says, Bev, you've got to take me so I can vote. I said, okay, Dad, that's not a problem. I can do that. I'll just vote at the same time, right? Because he lived here and I lived right around the corner, like a nice 25-minute walk kind of mentality. And he very, very, like he was late, maybe 79, maybe 80. Yeah, may have been 80 that year. And I walked him in. And he said, I need you to help me. And I just looked at the lady. I said, is that okay? She said, yeah, he's asked you to help. And it was humorous because your vote's supposed to be anonymous, right? And he's going, okay, Bev, which ones? And he rhymed off his party. I went, that one, Dad. And I rhymed off the candidate's name. He said, okay. And that's the NDP. And I went, yes, Dad, that's the NDP. Because he's always voted NDP. As long as he could vote, my father voted NDP. I said, that's it. He said, okay, did I keep my X inside this? Yes, Dad, you kept your X inside the circle. So it's like, okay, that's fine. Okay. And it wasn't even, he gave it to me. He did everything, but that was his one thing he wanted me to help, was just make sure he marked the right circle. It's like, so there we go. It's election time. So on that pretense, when I heard today that the election had been called, I went, oh, please tell me the Conservatives have got it out. Please let me know. Yes, the Conservatives now have their policy out. So I've got it up. I didn't bring up the Liberal one because I did show you how to find the Liberal one and the Green Party one last time. So today I'm going to look at the Conservative Party one just a little bit, give you the link inside the video's description so that you can go and take your time with a nice cup of tea or coffee or something. And this is because I've been outside. It's not super warm, but I've at least started my yard work. Oh, I just found my lost mittens. So you can sit there with a coffee or something and take your time and read it. Please don't let your politicians and they're politicking, because that's what it is when they're on the campaign trail. They're politicking. They're doing the smiles. They're looking cutesy. They're doing whatever have, the stereotypical. Somebody made some comment about Biden hugging a little person a few years ago, and they said, "Oh, that's disgusting." No, it's not. He's politicking. That's politicians kiss babies because it looks good, right? Obama grabbed a baby. Michelle couldn't get the baby to stop crying, so Obama grabbed the baby and stopped the crying, and she was like, so it's just part of politics. But you need to look past that. You need to look at their policies and see what they're actually going to. And here it is. Okay. So let's look at this. Now, please note, this is not that old. Like, you look at it and say it's 2023, but really that's only a year and a bit. It's not that atrociously. Okay. It's being powered by Adobe, so it has been relatively, like, I can't start changing this, is my point. So we're going to have the table of contents. Now, this, please note, it's 58 pages, so it's substantial. But mine would be, think about the things that are important to you, and those, run through this and find those areas that are of interest to you. Okay. So we've got government accountability. We've got democratic reform. Now, this is 2023. So in defense of the Conservatives here, the things that are on our plate, the things that we're dealing with now, were not there back then. So page 7, unfair hiring practices. Open federalism, the reform of the Federation. Fiscal, so you just see how it's laid out there. Tax relief. But mine is, look this up and figure out which ones you want. Economic development, trade, international, interprovincial. That one with what's going on right now would be very interesting. Maybe I'll just scroll down to that, page 17. Health. Potable water. That's would be aimed at the First Nations, because a lot of their water treatment things are so out of date. It's ridiculous, and they're not good for them. Okay. Women protecting female sports, intimate spaces, and women's rights. Okay. Indigenous affairs. Criminal, you can just see it's laid out nicely. Fisheries. National defense. That would be one that would be interesting for me right now. But this is 2023. Things have changed. But this would give you some general concept of where they stand on this. But remember that Canada has, since World War II, seen ourselves as peacekeepers. We'll go to war to help and support. We're not going to be the ones that jump in to start a war. So when the United States was attacked, we were there in Afghanistan trying to bring justice for the United States. So we were there supporting, but we're more into going in and helping people regain peace versus putting our men and women on the front line to start a war. So walking into Israel and Israel and Gaza, that's not a Canadian thing. Go in and help clean up afterwards. That's a Canadian thing, which is a tip. Okay, so here's the founding principles, which is nicely laid out. That's page 9. Should be page 7. So these are some of the things you really want to be looking at if this is the party you're interested in. A belief in the freedom of individuals, including freedom of speech, worship, and assembly. That's general. Okay. A belief that the best guarantee of prosperity and well-being of the people of Canada are. Now, this one right at the top of the page is, I can almost remember, I'm a history buff, so I actually read books about our various prime ministers, and I've read a book comparing Diefenbaker to Pearson, which they were basically around the same time. Pearson was Nobel Peace Prize winner for peace, very peace-oriented, very internationally oriented, and bringing peace to the world. through the uses of Canada and us being the people that helped bring the peace. Diefenbaker was very much the small farm boy from Saskatchewan, and he was very the stereotypical conservative party must be fiscally prudent, do not waste money, and should be limited to those responsibilities which cannot be discarded reasonably by the individual or others. Okay, so this is federal government, and what he's basically saying is they are responsible for those things that the provinces or us as individuals cannot be done. So that's why they're in control of the federal government's control of the RCMP. That's why the War Measures Act, which has a newer name, but I remember it as the War Measures Act, it has to be the federal government that calls it because the provinces can't. This is why when COVID struck, Trudeau came out and said, look it, do you want me to declare this a national emergency? He went to his premiers and said, I can do this. Do you want me to do it? And they all went, no, 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 no. And theirs was reasonable because what was happening or what's necessary in the territories is not the same as what's necessary in British Columbia or Quebec or Newfoundland or down here in Ontario. Okay. Prudent leadership to create a climate where the individual initiative is rewarded, excellence is pursued. Okay. I would probably, if we check the Liberals will probably be the same on this one. It believes that Canada should continue its strong heritage of national defense, supporting a well-armed military, honoring those who serve, and promoting our history and traditions. Now, people are going to scream that we do not spend our 2% of our GDP on the military. Please do not point your finger at Justin Trudeau. We've been struggling with this for 40 years. We've gone through Liberal governments and Conservative governments, and the problem is there's only X amount of money, and the people of Canada want this, this, and this. We want stronger environmental controls. We want our dental programs. We want our children's child care kind of things. There's only so much money to go around, which is why I keep screaming, don't cheat on your taxes, because that tax money is what the federal government gets to use to pay for what we need, what we want. Remember, these guys are only going to do what we ask them to do because they want their jobs. And if they don't do what we ask them to do or are pushing for, they're going to lose their jobs. They want to keep their jobs. Okay. Okay. Believe that all, this one, our OHIP for Ontario, that all Canadians should have reasonable access to quality health care, regardless of their ability to pay. For Ontario, it's OHIP, it's whatever, it's BC HIP or whatever. Okay. And a belief that the greatest potential for achieving social and economic objectives is under a global trading regime that is free and fair, which we have. Harper pushed that. Mulroney started the free trade agreement between North America, between Mexico and the U.S. and Canada. Chrétien kept it going. Trudeau's kept it going. So that one, which is actually this one, that has been a push no matter which party's been in power. Okay, role of government, public service, sound financial management, government duplication and waste. This is very much a Diefenbaker thing. He hated waste. If one person could do the job, why have I got two people there? So this is very much a conservative thing. Believes the government should implement detailed processes to streamline government services and eliminate waste, unnecessary overlap, duplication between levels of government and between. Okay. Democratic reform. Now, I said it before, I believe I said it before in this channel, or I've just vented enough. People yell and scream because Trudeau promised when he got in 2015 that he was going to do change or push for a change in the electoral system so that it was more evident of popularity. And what happened was, and I remember this because I went, oh, that's such an American thing to do. He started on the West Coast or the East Coast, but he was traveling across Canada doing town hall meetings. And the first one I watched him do, I went, town hall meetings, that's an American thing. I went, yeah, but that's a good idea. I liked that idea. Now, you don't see them doing it now, but COVID is in the middle of that. But when he was talking to people, what people, yes, they wanted to see a change in the electoral system. They wanted to see that the person who's voting for the Green Party would have a greater ability to have their voice counted. So if you're voting for like the Green Party or the Communist Party, you in your heart know that you're voting because it's your ethics. You know your vote's really not going to count. And this is sort of where he was trying to get it. Got to stay in the call. Okay. So this is literally where he wanted to do, and he did apologize last fall. He said he could tell his time in office was coming to an end. He said it's his one regret in the 10 years of being prime minister that he didn't get that through. But the people, when he was asking them about it, was saying, we're more concerned about, surprise, surprise people, cost of housing, cost of living. So 10 years ago, people were already seeing that the cost of living was going up, that getting a house was becoming more and more out of reach. And so, yes, has it gotten worse? Yes, it has worldwide. But we can see by the fact that they were complaining about those things 10 years ago that this isn't something that just happened. Okay, number 10, the free vote. I find this humorous. And here's why. I'll tell you in a sec. Let me highlight what I'm thinking. Okay. Oh, please don't do that. Believes in restoring democratic accountability into the House of Commons by allowing free votes. Okay, all votes should be free, which means each member of parliament should be able to vote the way they want to vote. But notice this, it says, except for the budget, main estimates, and core government initiatives. Guys, that's exactly what it's situated now. The prime minister will come in and go, this is a free vote. Everybody can vote the way they want. But it's on moral-ish conscious things such as abortion, definition of marriage, and euthanasia. The Conservative Party acknowledges the diversity of deeply held personal convictions among individual party members and the right of the members of parliament to adopt positions in consultation with their constituents and to vote freely. Guys, we already have that. This isn't something they need to put back in. We already have that. Prime Minister makes the announcement. Okay, this is another one. I don't know why it keeps doing that. I really don't, guys. This is one I've agreed with for a while. Conservative, yeah. And remember, I'm a liberal, but read your different parties' policies. And 5 is fine. Conservative Party believes in equal Senate to address an unequal distribution of Canada's population and to provide a balance to safeguard regional interests. Okay. We believe that wherever the people of a province or territory by democratic election chooses the person qualified to be appointed to the Senate. So right now, the Prime Minister will appoint senators, and the senators are there for, I want to say for life, it's not for life, but they don't get lost with the next election. So the senators we have now are going to be there. They're not changing just because we have an election. I agree with this idea where we should be able to elect our senator for our province or territory. And that would allow for a constant renewal so we don't end up with Joe Blow being in the Senate for 15 or 20 years. And it also stops the, just because we have liberals in there, punching in electing or putting in a bunch of liberal senators that can't be gotten rid of. right? Or the Conservatives doing the same thing. And we've seen that happen in the past, where if there's Senate seats empty, the party in power will put it in with senators who are going to support the way that party thinks. Whether it's the Liberals or Conservatives, that doesn't matter. So this would allow for a more leveled, balanced approach to the Senate, which I really like. And I wouldn't know how to do it, but mine would be, this is where we could be pushing popularity things. So if the majority of people voted for Conservative in British Columbia, then it would be a Conservative senator that would go in there. But it would just allow for a greater balance of, or we can sit there and say, okay, 10% of the population voted for the Green Party. Therefore, 10% of the senators should be from the Green Party. Anyways, just an idea of mine. Okay. Anyways, there it goes. I will put this link into the description of the video so that you can see it. Okay. I will open this up. Okay. Make it big again. All right. So now you're back to my gorgeous little face. Anyways, there you go. There's your links. There's your link for the Conservative. I did give you the link before, and next time I'll find the NDPs and just a quick run through it to see what it is. Now, having said that, again, I don't care what party you vote for. Just get out and vote. I mean, obviously, I'm going to want you to vote for my party. I get that. That would be, you know, I'm going to tell you to vote for the enemy. But at the same time, I'd rather that you just get out and vote and get your little, do your civic duty, your civic right, and get out and vote. But saying that, if you're somebody, because the two parties that are going to get elected, it's either going to be the Conservatives under Pierre Poilievre, or it's going to be the Liberals under Mark Carney. That's the choices. As much as we have like 4 or 5 parties, we have the Green, we have the Liberals, we have the Conservatives, we have the NDP, we have the Bloc, we have PPC, People's Something Conservatives. It's Max Bernauer. I think it's Max Bernauer. He was a Conservative. He got upset because he didn't get elected leader of the Conservative Party, and so he went and started his own party. I just roll my eyes on people that do that kind of stuff. But those are the two. So if you are one that would normally vote NDP or Green, I'm going to ask you to honestly take a breath and say, yes, normally ethically I vote for this party or this party because I really believe what the platform says. But we're in a very tumultuous time. We are looking at a recession. We're dealing with trade wars. We're dealing with somebody threatening our sovereignty. And anybody who has talked to him, Trudeau has said it, Mark Carney has said it. Prime Minister of England has said it. Trump is very serious about taking over Canada, about making Canada the 51st state. There's a lot of things out there that are saying there's indications that he wants to own from the North Pole, all of Canada, as under American rule, North Pole, all of Canada, all of the United States, Mexico, Panama, and Greenland. So he's got that whole thing. Okay, so those are very real threats, existential threats to our sovereignty. So when you're making your choice, if you're in a riding where your vote, like if you're voting NDP and you're in a riding that's very NDP and it's going to go NDP, then vote NDP. But if you happen to be in a riding that it's like this, it might go as Conservative or it might go Liberal, vote for one of those two parties that's going to support the thing you want most. Okay, so if you're a Green Party, but you're really, and normally would vote Green, but this coming election with what is happening on the plates, if you really believe in the fiscal mentality of the Conservatives, then vote Conservative. If it's in a riding where it's not going to make any difference, then vote for Green or vote for NDP. Make your voice heard for the party you support. But with me being in a riding that's nip and tuck, sometimes we go conservative, sometimes we go liberal, depending on what's happening in the political world. One of my tenants who has been an NDPer his whole life, I think his parents roll over in their grave when they think about it because they were heavy core conservatives, bless their souls. He will be voting liberal. He's already said it. He has already said it, that he would be voting liberal. And my son does the same thing. He said, if it's a vote for a election where he really doesn't care who is actually the premier, I have a cat who can't make up her mind, she's in the office or not to, then he will vote the way he would normally vote. But if it's an election or if it's in writing that, so our last provincial, provincially, this riding is very, very, very conservative. So he says, I vote with my heart. But if it's the federal where it flip-flops, it depends on the candidate. There you go, guys. If you're heavy duty and you really want, go find the candidate for the party you want to support and go help out in the office. Go put out brochures. You don't have to go be knocking door to door. That is a god-awful job because you'll run into people who don't agree with you and they get nasty and yell and scream at you and things. But there's nothing stopping you from putting flyers in the mailbox. There's nothing. People will phone. Go get a placard for your driveway. Do what you have to do, but remember that you need to be thinking about what the economic world is right now and the political world is right now. So push comes to shove, who do you want to be confronting Donald Trump? Because Donald Trump doesn't understand anything but what he wants. Do you want it to be Pierre Poilievre or do you want it to be Mark Carney? Because those are your two choices right now. Which one do you think is going to have the backbone to tell Donald Trump where to go? Poilievre has constantly said he would be strong. He would not say no, he wouldn't allow Trump to walk over him. He wouldn't allow, he'd put his foot down with Trump. He has constantly said this is what he's going to do. Carney's got the advantage. He's already in office and has already politely told Trump where to go. Politely. He's an economist. He's been known worldwide, but he has said, I'm not talking to him till he can respect our country and our sovereignty, which probably means he probably will not ever talk to him because Donald Trump isn't going to respect anything Donald Trump doesn't want to. And if you don't bow to him, he doesn't respect you, which is a whole nother cup of tea. There you go. Like I said, there's the conservatives. Take a read, have a coffee with it, have a tea with it, have a beer with it, whatever. Take care, guys, and we'll see you next time. And yes, 3 cheers to our ladies who've got gold and the world's curling.